Welcome to Warrior Class,
where the teachers whip ass.
And you will too if you pass.
We're at episode 9.
9 is the born.
Come to episode 10, I probably won't keep counting because after a while it'll be 10,000. So
there you go.
This episode we're going to be dealing with what the episode is it real or is it Memorex? Okay. And we're going to start off giving our top five martial art movies, right? Because that's Memorex, that's cinema, right? Mm-hmm. And it's cinematic. Want to get you in the mind of cinema and cinematic martial arts and things of that nature. And then we'll look at the difference between cinematic martial arts and real ones. Okay. All right. So we got any news right now we want to deal with?
News. What's going on new in the news today?
Well, we know we got Hurricane Ida's been tearing things up.
Pray for Louisiana
and other places. It's hit several states, and we pray that people are safe. I was looking at something yesterday that said it had damaged. It was a live from Louisiana. It said property. Some of the stuff is just damage. It may take 5 years to fix or what have you, but there was no loss of life there.
Right. Yeah.
As of yet, and I hope that won't be. But there's a lot of devastation.
I think as of the day, it's like one life, one loss, one life lost. I think. As of the day, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, because when you compare it to Katrina.
Right,
so,
right.
Big difference.
I did notice I noticed there was a lot of backlash for Slim Thug, if you guys know. It's not Slim Thug, Young Thug, Slim Thug. Slim Thug is the guy from Texas, Houston, Texas, right? He was calling the people from Louisiana or New Orleans, refugees, saying that he didn't want any refugees to come to Texas and y'all don't come there and that kind of stuff, and that created like this controversy. I forgot that.
I didn't know he owned Texas.
You know how these rappers feel like that. But
I've been hearing that sentiment about Atlanta too. Telling them Atlanta is full.
Don't come.
People are funny. People are funny, insensitive and funny and not funny, right? Because most of us don't own a pot to piss in. We love talking about. This is, don't come here. We own the block. We own the right. We don't own none of that.
It's my state. You rep everything. You rep the state, the block, the community.
There was a student of mine, former student, who could not stand for you to say anything negative about Atlanta. Every place has negatives, and people would say I was talking to some students about we're going to eat. And I was saying some things about Chicago truth. And everything I said, my other student, she was defending the hell out of Chicago. Chicago is beautiful, blah, 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 blah. I said, absolutely. I said, but it's also very violent. And it has shaped me, you. It has shaped the way we approach things, the way we think about things. It absolutely has. And 90% of the young folks that I know who moved from Chicago to here, like I'm talking teenagers when they came, they end up having to go back. They could not fit in here. One of my daughters, we first came here, she was fine with the people. She's a people person, so she was fine, like her peers. But older people, they couldn't cotton with that Chicago hard energy. And I'm trying to, hey, you got to relax. And it got so bad that she had to be up out of here till she got older and came back.
I know some people feel, because Katrina came, a lot of people from New Orleans came here and crime did, went up and all that. And the same thing happened in Texas, but that's going to happen anyway. More people, it don't matter where, if once the population rises, crime is going to rise. You got more people, crime is going to rise. So that's a natural thing.
Well, people move to New York all the time. And people are going to come to Atlanta when it's not a hurricane. It's because it's Atlanta. It's you know the weather. It's where everything moving and shaking as far as film nowadays and all of that. So it's going to get a lot more folks because all of these film studios are coming up here. It's going to happen. We have to always remember that we don't own this.
That's what I was about to say.
We don't own this, and this, you know, when I was locked up, Cass would say, you know, dudes in Savannah, they don't like dudes from Atlanta. They, you know, you can't tell them you from Atlanta if you go to Savannah. I've been to Savannah multiple times. Me and the family people, where you from? From Atlanta. We catch no problems. Catch no problem because we weren't going to places where we would catch problems. Yeah, that's number one, right? And if somebody said to me, "You from Atlanta, just Savannah," I'd be like, "Okay, we don't own either one of them, so our fight is not a fight." No skin in the game. We're oppressed in Chi-Town, in Atlanta, Savannah, Wilmington. Got that, New York City, LA. Come on, man. Stop that. Stop being a dumb Negro or nigga. I could deal with, so we talk about the black man, the Negro and the nigga, right? The Negro just gets on my nerve. That's old bougie. I really don't mess with them. I could deal with the nigga, but the dumb nigga, let's raise that up. So I work to try to educate them. If I can't educate them, I just don't mess with them at all. Because that's just being a dumb nigga. This is my city. Really? Or even the song, rep your city. And maybe it's just me. I don't understand that. Where rep my city.
He had to be from North Carolina.
Rep your city. He's from North Carolina?
Yeah, Petey Pablo.
I didn't know. I thought he was from Florida. That's crazy. That lets you know how.
He just didn't say Wilmington. He said every place else.
Is he from Wilmington?
I didn't take it personally. No, he's not from Wilmington.
You rep your city. And now the song was hot back then. But what he's talking about, I'm like, come on, dude. Rep your city. I don't really have one. I'm from Chicago. Chicago gets by y'all. Yeah, that's because from Chicago. Something crazy happened. That's from Chicago, right? I'm with you, cause yeah. When I went to a business meeting, me and my wife, she's from here. Went to a business meeting, and one guy was saying he's from Chicago. I said, "Oh, where? There's one way you can tell somebody really from Chicago. If you meet them, one of y'all gonna say what side you from, and if neither one of you from Chicago." Or so if I meet you, I say, "You from Chicago? I heard you say you from Chicago." Yeah, I'm from Chicago too. Then you're gonna say what side. And if you don't, you from the suburbs. You from them tree-lined streets, as Dr. Ball likes to say, Jared likes to say, right? So the dude said, "Yeah, I'm from the South Side." I said, "Oh, okay." Now it's about 5 of us. I said, "I'm from the," not including me and my wife. I said, "I'm from the West Side." They all took 2-3 steps back.
And I would too.
Nah, because the West, see, people all hear about the South Side. South Side dangerous. The West Side is the most dangerous part of Chicago. Okay, and West Side is huge because West Side includes a large part of downtown.
Chicago dudes willing to die to say that they side is a little more. No,
but they could die. That'd be fine. But and that right. That's all. If they're willing to die because of it, because I'm willing to live and not, so I live in Atlanta. I've been living here for 21 years. I don't call this my home. I don't call Chicago my home either.
Right. I'm in the same.
I call the continent of Africa my home. And the places I've been to in Africa are not what I would call my home. That is Gabon, and I ain't been there yet.
This whole
it's funny that's what my father's paternal line is from Gabon. Okay, if you want to, I mean, we're so mixed with stuff, but that's major work. So for me, I want to go there, and I had an opportunity to be a citizen of Gabon years ago, to have dual citizenship before I even knew that was part of my ancestral line, and didn't jump on the opportunity. So 2022, my wife's taking folks next month to Nigeria, but 2022, the plan is that me, my wife, and my youngest child, Yemi, that we go to Gabon. We spend a couple of weeks there, and then we go to Nigeria and spend the normal 6 weeks that's spent there whenever my wife goes.
6 weeks.
Yeah, that's normal now because my wife always spends 6 weeks in Nigeria twice a year.
Hopefully, I will be with y'all in Africa this time around.
Yeah.
I said I ain't going nowhere. I ain't even been to Vegas, y'all. I won't go with my friends nowhere till I go to Africa.
Now, have you flown in a plane before? I was thinking about you the other day. I was like, did he tell me he never flew?
No, I flown.
Okay.
New York and stuff like up the East Coast. I haven't done all the East Coast, but I ain't been off the East Coast.
Because somebody is one of the students said they've never flown a plane. I'm trying to remember.
I heard that too.
I'm trying to remember who that is. It's like, wow.
Also, we want to send a congratulations to the director of Candyman, Nia DaCosta. She came with the first Black woman to open the movie at the #1 spot in the domestic box office. So congratulations to her. So she definitely deserves our high praise for that. So we're going to definitely...
we're being cinematic today.
Yeah, since we're talking cinema. No, but this is a question. So this is for y'all out there. He doesn't know I'm about to ask him this. This is all a part of just being a warrior stuff. I have two questions. This made me think of this since we're talking about movies and stuff. So how do you find I'm gonna say it like this and I'll give you examples so you know what I'm talking about. Like, how do you find the line of warriorhood, of where do you draw the line? I'm give you an example. It's something you said the other day to me and made me think about this. I had on cologne. We was like, dang, I ain't never seen you. You never have on cologne. Well, one of the reasons I don't wear cologne is because and I love cologne, but I think most time, like, dang, what if something pop off while I'm out there? You know what I'm saying? And my scent. So that's one example. Shoes. I'll be walking if I'm in a grocery store by myself. My shoes do too much squeaking while I'm walking. I'm like, I can't wear these. I gotta have some shoes that could be quiet and something pop off. These shorts I got on, I don't ever wear them because they got like 3 zippers on each pair. When I walk, make that noise right there. So I'm like, I can't even wear these because I might need to be.
Okay, so now I'll tell you with the pants real quick. If you have zippers on your pants, on your backpack, things like that, you want it to be quiet, you can use tape.
Yeah.
And put that on there and so it won't shake. Because if you got a backpack that shakes a lot and you do have to, I wouldn't make that my bug out bag.
Right.
But, they're going to be zippers there, but they should be able to be tucked. If it's a good bag, put that kind of way so it's not shaking. But like if I have D-rings and stuff on my bag, which I do, I tape them down. So you're not getting that shaky type of thing like that.
I have my stuff taped on my bag.
So that's for that. Now, as far as a line of warriorhood, it's good to think. You never think that I'm going overboard with my thinking. Never do that. We should give deep thought to everything because of our eventual passing. That's when a person passes, and you all see me send this verse from the Odu, which is our body of knowledge in Ifa. The first Odu is Ejiogbe. Okay, Eji means two, so Ejiogbe, or you'll hear Oyeku Meiji. So whenever you hear Eji, it's two. That when we have the Odu, you may have. So the number one is Ejiogbe. That's Ogbe on the left. There's one line. I won't get too deep into that. And Ogbe on the right. Okay. We read from right to left, not left to right. It's not. Western, right? So Ogbe, Ogbe. That's Etiogbe. If it was Oyeku and Ogbe, Oyeku Ogbe, it would be Oyeku on the right, Ogbe on the left. So I hope y'all understand. I'm simplifying that. But anyway, the first Odu, Etiogbe, it talks about death and how we should handle our life, right? And it tells us, give deep thought to all things because of our eventual passing, right? So it's telling you to give deep thought to those kind of things because they can keep you here, or not giving deep thought, you could leave here. Okay, because our passing is for sure. That's what I say, our eventual passing.
Right.
That's for sure. But you want to make this life as good for you, as safe for you, as long for you as you possibly can, right? And so you should give deep thought. So that's good to do that. So as far as thinking about those kind of things, you're fine. There is no line. But the one line that we should not cross is not enjoying ourselves. If you can't enjoy life, what the hell are you fighting for it for? You can't enjoy life, why are you fighting for it? There's a line, since we're talking about movies, in V for Vendetta, when he asked the woman to dance, she says, you dance? She said, a revolution not worth dancing for is not a revolution worth fighting for. So if you can't enjoy what you're doing. Brothers came to me from England years ago. One of them is a master instructor who y'all know well. He brought a friend of his, and his friend proudly said to me, Baba, I'm not having sex, I'm celibate. And he just, bragging on it and stuff. I said, oh, why? Why? He said, what? Now, I'm not, if you choose to be celibate, there may be reasons why, but if you coming to me telling me, why as a warrior, you know who I am, and I know who your teacher is in England before you came here. Why are you telling me this? He said, because as a warrior, we don't have sex. And I said, well, shit, who you fighting for? Because if I can't have sex, I don't want to be part of that war. I'm not fighting for that war.
Discipline, though.
I said, me and my wife, I said, the number one thing for us is living on and creating soldiers to continue on in this war. So number one is having babies. So I got to have sex. Now, my children know I'm not, I raise you for war. I want them to enjoy who they are, enjoy life, because then it's worth fighting for. My father said, if you're going to be dealing with the ugly, you got to deal with the pretty. So me and my sisters, we all learn instruments. We all are writers. So I write fiction, nonfiction. I write screenplays. You name it. I can write essays and articles. And unfortunately, everybody in my family won't be writing something for them. So I'm always writing. Okay.
The instructors are artists in some form of fashion.
Exactly. Some form of fashion. All the instructors are some type of artist. Most are. Okay. So we want to enjoy things. That's the line. If you're not enjoying life, it won't be long before you really have severe mental issues. We all have some type of mental issues. And physical issues. So that's the line that we have to be grounded, and we have to be grounded.
Yeah, bro.
We have to be balanced in everything. We can't be way out here, or way down here. We can't be so flighty. Brother told me, I'm not into the fight, just dance. Shut up. That is ridiculous. But the other one, so that's so flighty. That's shea, but you are a shea butter soldier. That's what we call it.
A disco song.
That's what it sounds like. It probably could have been a hit too. Well, that's on just dance. And what you do, you show a bunch of soldiers and they standing in there, just dance. a week old. So that, and that's the most dance I can do right now because I can't dance for a whole year for spiritual reasons.
Oh, you can't. Oh, ooh,
just so you know. So now,
he's not a good dancer.
The other day, I can dance, I can throw, but I was at home the other day and I was about to. It was something playing, and my youngest said, "Daddy, you're not supposed to dance." I said, "God dog it." Okay,
I know that hurt.
So certain things you can't do, but it's a sacrifice for what I'm gonna get. Right. So yeah, enjoy life, enjoy yourself. Don't be so morose.
You can wear cologne sometimes if you want.
And you can wear cologne. Now I couldn't. I wanted a whole sleeve of a tattoo. I could get it now, but I really don't have time to do that. And the finances, I buy me a new firearm than buy a sleeve, to be honest. But this is my first tattoo ever, because in the SF we couldn't have tattoos. So I had to get this once I got out of the military, and I really wasn't thinking about it. My daughter, my oldest daughter, who's 33. Now, she wanted to go 87. No, she's 34. She just turned 34 October 16th. I'm looking at them years. She was born in 87, so she's 34. Yeah.
Her birthday is
October 16th.
That your dad transitioned?
Not October 16th, August 16th, excuse me. But no, so not the same day. My father transitioned on October 16th, which is his mother's birthday.
Right.
Oh, right.
So she said, "Let's go get some tattoos together, Dad." I said, "Okay, well, let's do it." And we sat there and got it done. So now, having fun, it is a warrior type of thing, because she got this done when it was my 20th year out of the military. Because 20 years out of the military, when I could finally talk about certain things I did in the military and not be risking going to jail.
That's interesting.
Now, like a dude that's infantry or something, he can talk about it. But if you are if you're an operator, which is a person that's in special ops and the things you do, so like special forces, Navy SEALs, that kind of thing, you sign a non-disclosure agreement, basically, that says that you can't speak on things you've done for 20 years or you risk going to prison and a $10,000 fine or whatever, right? And I wasn't trying to do either one of those.
Right.
So on the anniversary of that, she got us both tattoos. Okay. And the gorilla, of course, you see behind me, the gorilla. The gorilla is how you want to be outwardly. The gorilla is a vegetarian, is peaceful. They really are peaceful. But you know not to mess with them. That's how you want to be. But then that lion, which is what I'm going to get on this arm, eventually. I've been saying it for years. I'm going to do it. The lion, that's rips and tears. That's always there. Okay. And that is the attitude, the belief, the way of being for us. Okay. So be the gorilla in outward appearance. Be strong, be peaceful, calm. But people know it's if I mess with that gorilla, it'll tear me apart. But the lion that rips and tears, you're not. That's another one you ain't messing with. You know it's gonna tear your ass up. It's ready to tear you up. That's just so you know, gorilla's strength. If you want to know, a chimpanzee probably come up to my waist. It can tear a man's arms off.
Is it twice or 4 times as strong as a human?
A chimpanzee is actually, I think it's 7 times stronger than a human. God damn, it can overturn a car. Chimpanzee, little chimpanzee. A gorilla is about 12 times, from what I've read, stronger than a chimp. You can't even imagine how strong something like that is.
Strength like that.
That a woman was. We'll get to it. A woman was. It was a group of white folks in Africa talking about, the gorillas, and there was a brother showing the gorillas, to the boat. The gorilla is looking, with his family, and they're getting a little too close. It walks up, it just grabs the woman. They couldn't do nothing. It just grabbed and walked walk with her, and then and it lets her go.
Yeah,
And walks off. It just let her know I could have killed her.
But like she was a string out there.
I could have killed her. I could have I could have grabbed and broke her job, or I could have, slammed her into you and killed you, or whatever. They know. Okay. And they laughing nervously and they got up out of there. Because the gorilla said, okay, I'm gonna let you live. That's the gorilla's energy. I can't kill you, but I'm gonna let you live. If a lion had grabbed you, well, it was gonna tear that ass up because that's what it was coming to do, right? Different energy, but both of them are there. I tell people, the dog, I was telling my family about this dude's playing like he's drowning. He's playing like he's drowning. Oh, help me! He's calling his dog's name. Dog didn't hesitate. It runs. It was a Rottweiler. It jumps in the water, swims to him. But a dog, what does it use to grab things and pull things? Its teeth. And so it grabbed his hand and it pulled him to safety. He realized don't play like that no more. He was laying there and the dog, looking, checking on him, hitting him, checking on him. I'm fine. And the dog goes off. And it tore his hand up. But it was saving him. But it's saving the best way it knows with the teeth. And it still wasn't trying to destroy him. Right. It wasn't attacking. It was saving him. Right. But its teeth are so strong, his jaw's so strong that it still tore his hand up. So imagine if they wanted to tear you up. Okay? That's a dog. A lion. Yeah. So, we are both. And we try to keep that lion at bay until we just can't. And then the gorilla, which could have broke you, it may break you, depending on the situation. But the gorilla, if it goes off in the back of your mind and the lion comes to the front, you're ripping and tearing. That you're getting attacked by certain oppressors and things of that nature, and they're going to kill you. It's time for the lion to come out now. You got to go home. Then when the lion comes out, let the gorilla come to the forefront. You're still ready to do what you got to do. But the gorilla's more of a thinker. It's observing its environment. It's more agile too. So always have both. And okay, you're talking about something that's strong, but it can swing up in trees and roll, and that's terrifying.
Peel a banana.
Right. If it wants, because it can do fine stuff.
It's got fine motor skills.
That's terrifying.
Look at the tattoo one bit.
Now, who wins between the lion and the gorilla in a fight, though? I don't know. That's something to think about.
I don't know.
Now, somebody said, what about a gorilla against a grizzly bear?
You know what?
The grizzly bear tear that ass up.
This is what I'm going to say. It's about who will win. I'll just say I've seen videos of lions fighting almost every other animal. And I seen video of animals fighting animals. I ain't never seen no video of motherfucking gorilla doing nothing. That means ain't nobody fucking with it. Excuse my language. You can't find video of the gorilla
except them fighting each other.
That's all. Nobody else. You can't find them dressing with nobody else. That means there's nobody stepping up to deal with the gorilla. Or he that cool. Everybody just cool with him. I don't know.
I'll tell you. And that's the one creature things don't mess with, and he's not a predator. He's not an apex predator. Because people don't mess with crocodiles, they apex predators, or sharks, they apex predators, except for dolphins.
That is a great point. The gorilla is not a
predator. It's a vegetarian.
One of the only animals that you fear and don't mess with. That's not even a.
Huh? Oh, do they?
Well, if the bugs are on
the thing. Oh, okay. That means don't get in his way.
Right, damn. So they could eat you if you on the stick that he grabbed. Damn.
Wrong. But even a panda. Now pandas are bears, so bears are predators.
Yeah, they can be omnivore.
And they're so we don't think about the strength of creatures. The reason why animals are stronger than us, we have red muscle fiber.
White.
They have white muscle fiber. We have very little of that. And that's what makes you really strong. Even insects per weight are stronger than us.
Oh, yeah. Way stronger than us.
We're the stronger thinkers. But the gorilla is close to human intelligence with those white muscle fibers. That is terrifying. Yeah. Because now a bear is not as intelligent, but they're not stupid either. But there was a panda sitting at a cage. There's a dude sitting. I don't know if y'all seen this video. A dude sitting in front of the cage doing what the panda does, being funny. So the panda grabs, there's a leaf and it's eating the leaf. And the dude grabs a stick, playing like he's eating. The panda goes, it reaches, grabs it, boom, and then sits back down. Dude dead. From getting slammed into the thing by the strength of the panda, and it wasn't standing up, it's still sitting, and it slammed the dude and killed him. That is how strong creatures are. Don't mess with the animals, y'all. Don't play with the animals, and don't sit with your back to an animal and it's in a cage and it can reach out.
If we got to tell you that, never mind. We'll do what you're doing.
Right. All right. So we're looking at the top 5 martial art movies. And think about your top 5. If you want to share your top 5, we love to hear them.
Love.
So,
or just any movie we don't mention.
Right.
You got a good one.
Right. You got a good one. We good. Let you know I don't watch many martial art movies because there's a history behind that. I knew some people that owned a video store in Chicago, Chinese people that owned the movies in Chinese, and they ended up letting me go into the back where they kept the Chinese film, and they were on VHS, not dubbed. This was years ago, and so I'm watching in Chinese. I don't speak Chinese, but I have someone that's very close to me who actually helped to give birth to me. Mm-hmm. So I asked him, and who speaks Chinese, Korean. I think that's it, and Spanish. My daughter, taking after him and being introduced to anime and stuff by me, my daughter Okeshina, who is I gotta count, y'all, I got 8, is my 4th child, yes. She speaks fluent Korean and Japanese. Wow. And is studying Chinese. She lives in Korea. So, and teaches in Korea. Everything, all right. So that influence was there. But my father would listen. I say, listen to this while I'm watching the movies. And he would listen and say, they're talking about this. Got tired of that. He said, ask them to give you the beta disc. Okay. Because they have it on beta disc too. And those are dubbed. Not dubbed. Those have the subtitles. So I asked him, sure enough, they had a subtitle. And so he bought me a beta disc machine, and I was able to play those movies. And so they were great movies. And then I end up doing executive protection for Jackie Chan, different. So from my relationship with the folks who owned the video store. So I would go to Chinese film festivals and I would watch great movies like The Legend of Fong Sai-yuk, Once Upon a Time in China when it first came out. Excellent. Which influenced me to write Once Upon a Time in Africa, which is one of my first novels. Okay. It's my second novel to ever come out. Okay. History there, right? So I don't watch many martial art movies now because I'm spoiled on the real deal that they watch when it gets to the United States. It's so heavily edited, and then the stuff made in America usually be trash. But I do have my favorites. But I don't watch many. I'm sure he's watched more. Maybe you watch more. I don't know.
One thing about this show is it definitely encourages personal growth. This is a personal growth show for me. I consider myself a film buff. I think I actually am. I don't just consider myself, but I had a hard time making a list. I did, because I realized when I was little, we used to watch what we call Kung Fu Boogie on Friday nights and Saturdays sometimes, but I don't know the names of any of those movies. I just remember that I liked them and that they were great. So my list is less like movies that I grew up with and more movies that I came to appreciate as an adult.
That's good. Yeah. So now mine are definitely more what gave me a certain feeling as a child or adult.
Yes, mine too it's not about the technique and all of that. It was about story, feeling, the time the movie came out, you know, all feeling. Story.
So number one, let me turn down this. This is getting to me. Number one for me. So this is number one. Okay. For me, it was Kung Fu Hustle. And I think I said as a child or adult, all these came out when I was an adult, actually. But there's a whole story that I talk about later about martial art movement when I was a child. Anyway, Kung Fu Hustle, that's set in Shanghai, China in the 1930s. But it has Matrix and Blade style digital effects. Why do I add Blade to that? Because Blade actually created bullet time, not the Matrix. If you didn't know that. Blade was the first to do that, not the Matrix.
Bullet time, Baba, they might not know what you're talking about.
Bullet time when it's called that because something is moving fast, but something else is moving slow, right? Well, like, so when the Matrix, when he's being shot and he's doing, and we actually, I named it one of our exercises, the Matrix after that.
Right.
Okay. He's dodging the bullets slow, but the bullets are moving fast, right? Well, that actually was in Blade first.
Blade is responsible for the whole DC phenomenon.
Marvel phenomenon. Yes, it is. It is. That's unarguable.
Okay.
Because what they had tried to do, Captain America, all their Marvel movies failed. It flopped until Blade. Just so you know. That's when they found the formula to selling it to people. Okay. But Kung Fu Hustle was set in the 1930s and it got those Blade style digital effects, right? It was written and directed by Stephen Chow, who also stars in it as a wannabe gangster who becomes a superhero, really. Yeah, it's really a superhero story. A lot of Kung Fu movies, if you want to call it that, martial art movies are.
Mm-hmm.
The hilarious plot pits the ruthless members of the Axe Gang who run the corrupt city against the odd and seemingly overmatched residents of Pigsty Alley. But all the residents of the apartment complex happen to be martial art masters with incredible abilities. Okay, it's hilarious. Action pack is great. The gang, alarmed by this unexpected resistance to its power, must hire ever more powerful assassins to take on the quirky old locals, while the hero, Singh, that's Stephen Child's character, morphs from a would-be villain into a hero because he's trying to be part of the Axe Gang at first. And I won't go into too much plot. I want you to watch it if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen that, you really seen yourself.
Kung Fu Hustle, listen, you have to see it. It's family by yourself. It could do everything.
He goes from a would-be villain into a hero with supernatural powers himself. It's full of action, great superhero origin story, and it's one of the best action comedies, not just martial art movies, best action comedies ever made. Now, I'll say my favorite scene. Talk about this one with my children all the time, and we still laugh like, you know, we just saw it or whatever. Even just talking about it, I talk about how in the scene, the Axe Gang is watching the people at first. And one of the guys says, you know, I'm going to hit them with this knife. And he throws a knife at the people, and it hits him in the back. It is hilarious. Number one, that's impossible, of course, and that's what makes it so funny. We talk about that job and I'm like, oh my God.
No, hey, remember we had a knife, he's stuck in it.
Right. He's stuck in the other guy, right. It was crazy.
It was good.
It was so hilarious. It was brilliant. And that, I watch movies like that and that inspired me. I say, I got to go write. And now, right after that, I go write something. Nothing like what they did, but I go write something that is entertaining to me. And so I figure it's going to be entertaining to other people. Okay. So number one.
That's my number one.
Your number one was
Hustle is my
wow.
number one.
There you go. Your number one.
My list is not in any particular order, to be honest.
Okay.
So the first one that I have on the list is the Grandmaster, which is I think like the fourth installment, the third or the fourth installment of the
Ip Man.
the Ip Man movies that came out in the past few years. I was attracted to the Ip movies because I was learning Wing Chun when I first started watching them. And the Grandmaster is kind of a love story, but I thought that the martial arts were really great in the movie, and I really liked the storyline a lot. So.
Now, does the Grandmaster star Donnie Yen too?
No, he's not.
They're making one called 4. That is the 4th, but they're making Ip Man 4.
Right.
And Donnie Yen is starring in that one. That's,
yeah, I've seen that too.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. So, just if you don't know, Ip Man, or you hear Yip Man, is considered the founder of the Hong Kong version of this martial art called Wing Chun.
Yeah, bro.
Wing Chun comes from Patsan, China, but he brought it to Hong Kong. His first name is Man, just so you know. Last name, Ip or Yip. So the Chinese, they say the last name first. Well, so do the Japanese. So do many African countries. We just don't know that. So when people say Miyamoto Musashi is his first name. Miyamoto is his surname. Surname is more important. So traditionally, in Nigeria, I would be Ojetade Balogun. Well, I would be Balogun. That's my title. That's a chieftaincy title, is war chief. Okay, I'll be Balogun, and then my name Farimola, so it would be Ojetade Farimola. Just so you know. So Akira Kurosawa. The actual way it's said, Kurosawa is his last name. The way it's done, that's been Americanized. His first name is Akira. It would be Kurosawa Akira.
Akira
in
is
Japanese.
Big name in Japan. Oh, the Grandmaster, just so y'all know, is like I said, is the 4th installment, and that's the one where they didn't use Donnie Yen, but it's the most what's the word? As far as cinematography is done, it's the most like artistic. Like they have a lot of slow motion, dramatic, drama, a lot of dramatization of the movements. It's really good how they did that.
I've seen 1 and 2. I think I saw the first one, and I think 2 is the one with Mike Tyson.
Yes.
3.
So I've seen 3.
I want you to see the Grandmaster, because this is how
you haven't seen the Grandmaster?
No, I haven't seen the Grandmaster.
I always this is how I picture you moving like this guy moves. And how everything is so dramatic. Even when he moves his shirt around, before he gets started, it's just like, oh shit, everything is just big. Everything is big.
I wish I could look cool doing I'm good at defending myself, but
the Negro in me is always going to picture it looking cool when I know better. You know what I'm saying?
For me, I always say the beauty of martial arts is the timing. A person punches you and you slip off and you hit him in his throat. That is beautiful timing. I know that sounds brutal, but that's beautiful timing to me. To me, that's beautiful. Like, damn, Number two. Anybody?
So for my number 2, this is so hard for me, y'all. I just want y'all to know I got over 19 movies altogether. So Kung Fu Hustle number 1. Then that means for number 2 for me, I'm going to have to go with. We're going to say the Drunken Master. You know what? No, I'm gonna go back and say The Last Dragon. I got to say The Last Dragon. So, and I'll say why. So I wanted to hold on to it because Last Dragon was almost first for me. But Kung Fu Hustle is such, to me, I swear on everything, it's such a complete movie. Like, it's such a complete movie. I actually feel like The Last Dragon out of this list is one of those complete movies with martial arts in it. You know what I'm saying? One of those type of things where even though martial arts is what the main thing is, like, that's not the forefront of what the whole movie is about. And The Last Dragon is like that, except it's low budget. It's, you know what I'm saying? It's not as fantastic, anything dealing with us. Sometimes we don't have the money that everybody else got. So it's about the story. I'm not going to tell y'all the story of The Last Dragon. If you don't know the story of The Last Dragon and you are black and you over 25 years old, I'm concerned about you. You may be entitled for what's those memes they be doing? If you're black and have not seen The Last Dragon, you may be entitled to something. What they say? Compensation. But The Last Dragon is. I mean, show enough, man. Come on, we talking about show enough. We talking about. Matter of fact, we just thought of something very funny off of this. But everybody knows who Show Enough is. If you don't know who Bruce Leroy is, you know who Show Enough is. So this was a great story for me, just as a kid, to see, to see ourselves, to see the black. You got hip hop, you know what I'm saying, mixed with martial arts. You got the best of both worlds as far as a kid, you know, as far as I'm concerned as a kid. So, and I thought the actor, the young dude, I don't know his name. I thought he was a really, really good actor at the time. But just to
Which
see
one?
The young boy that was Bruce Leroy's little brother. He was actually, to me, he was a dancer too. He was a decent dancer. You know what I'm saying? Back then I used to, you know what I mean? So he was all right, man. But now just to see that together, I thought it was a great movie. So that's for me.
Just so you know, Bruce Leroy is played by Ty Mack.
Yes.
And Showing Up is Julius.
Rest in peace.
Julius McCrary. He may rest in power. Great actor. Great actor. And he showed that in The Last Dragon. For me, number 2 was Iron Monkey. Okay.
It's hard not to say that.
Iron Monkey is about Chinese folk hero Wong Fei-hung. There are hundreds of movies made about Wong Fei-hung, who is the legendary folk, the legendary founder of Hung Gar. So Hung Gar is a style of kung fu. So I don't know if he's actually that or that's a legendary figure for them. Some kind of, I'm not sure. But there are many movies made about Wong Fei-hung.
That was that came out before Crouching Tiger, didn't it?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
Because that started the whole jumping, got back to the artistic, you know what I'm saying, the leaps and bounces and stuff.
Well, there were other movies when I talked about that I would watch the ones from China. There were many like that.
Right.
But that Americans got, that was the first. Iron Monkey was the first one that got back to the high flying, you know. So Wong Fei-hung is actually a child in this one. Okay. And it's his life when he meets the Zorro, Robin Hood type Iron Monkey while traveling with his father, Wong Ki, right? And the reason why I say those names like that, once again, listening to the movies, I'm saying it like the way they say it, you know, Wong Fei-hung, you know, that kind of thing, right? So I'm listening to always in Chinese. So Iron Monkey is actually the alter ego of Yang Qianqu, a traditional medicine physician, okay, who dresses in black every night, and he punishes the corrupt officials of the area, particularly Governor Chang, okay, and he gives their money and spoils to the poor, so food and all kinds of, he gives it to the poor, okay. When Wong Fei-hung and Wong Qiying, they come to town, Qiying is tasked with capturing Iron Monkey, okay, because they need money to eat and all that. So he's like, okay, well, capture Iron Monkey, you have all of this and everything. And after a series of unfortunate events that lead to his son being held hostage by Chang, he decides to work with Iron Monkey, right? The action scenes in the film are dope. There's this monk in there, bad, but there's a scene on the roof when he's getting ready, he's fighting Wong Fei-hung, and he hits him, boom, right? And well, first when they meet, you know, that voice, Wong Fei-hung, no, Wong Qiying, like that, right? And so, and then Wong Qiying says the monk's name. And then they're going at it, and then when he kicks the monk and everything, and he says something, and then Wong Qiying says Mo Yinga, which is shadow foot, no shadow foot, so it kicks so fast, no shadow. I was all into that, just the way it sounds and everything is so great, that cinematic. And I actually used to want to get into a fight with a dude. You know, I hit boom. He said, you know, so he called him what I'm hitting him with, right? But I played, you know, really when every fight I was in, I hit the dudes and they wasn't saying nothing. So it wasn't no fun. It was just, you know, business as usual. So, you know, I wanted a fun fight. Jin Woo Ping, who's a famed action director and fight choreographer, is at the top of his game here. Okay, Donnie Yen, we had talked about him with the Ip Man movies, right? Donnie Yen, if you don't know who it is, famous martial artist. His mother is someone I know fairly well. His mother, Bo Sim Mark, is a kung fu. I was going to say was. I think she transitioned, but I'm not positive. She's a Tai Chi kung fu artist also in Boston. And his father is also a famous martial artist in the United States. They're divorced. I forget his father's name. So he was born, I think he's born in the United States, Donnie Yen, but lived in China, and that's where he made his bones, his money at, you know. But Donnie Yen's in his 30s, and he's older than me now, you know. But he was in his 30s when Iron Monkey came out. He was at the top. He was moving like lightning. So you got Yen Wu Ping, great at making his, you know, great films and choreographing at that time at his best. And then Donnie Yen in his 30s. You also had Li Fai, who plays White Eagle. So Hing Hong is the monk. One of his disciples in there is Li Fai. And then Anji Chang, who is the boy who plays Wong Fei Hong. They were both Wushu champions back then. That's what they got hired for the film. They were actual champions. The film includes corrupt officials, fights on rooftops, the naming of damn near every technique they use. You know, like I said, Mo Yinga, the naming of everybody they fought. You know, Wong Ki Yin, Hing Hong. You know, it was that kind of. It was hot. They had Shaolin monks, cool poses by the villains and the heroes. That's classic kung fu movie stuff, right? With modern cinematography and editing. So it was just a masterpiece. Okay, you add some slapstick humor to that, drama, strong political commentary. It's a movie you don't want to miss. And no, they didn't pay me to say all this stuff. It's just a great film. Okay, your two.
My number 2 is The Five Deadly Venoms.
Oh yeah,
which I really used to enjoy as a young woman.
It's a great murder mystery too.
Yeah, it has kind of a complicated plot, which I think watching it as an older person, not realizing how complex it was.
That's the thing about a lot of these movies.
Yeah,
it was made in the 70s, 80s, and you're young.
Yeah, when you're young, you just get the gist of what's going on, right, and you're enjoying the scene. Right. When you get older, you say, "Oh snap!" Right. But The Five Deadly Venoms is one of the movies. Now, you know, I'm not into the old martial art movies like that because the fights are choppy and stuff. The Five Deadly Venoms, it's one of the movies I just like. I loved, right, because that's one of the movies that influenced my writing.
Oh, wow.
So I write these deep plots, and they always get back to, they always finish, and they get back to where you understand, right? And a lot of them overlap with each other. And I learned that from watching martial art movies from China. The Chinese are masters of that, doing these convoluted plots, but they all end up meshing in the end, right? I learned that from them, and that's how I do my writing.
And now they're just starting to do that in cinema.
Now
America is starting to take the place.
I was going to say movies that have complicated plots that don't end up tying together are Nollywood movies.
Yes, which is funny. My wife literally has over 2,000 Nollywood movies, and she's watched more, like, you know, just with the streaming nowadays. Right. She had them from the old. We have so many DVDs. I said, dude, you gotta get rid of these. I mean, there's no room in the house. There were so many. It was funny. I introduced her to Nollywood movies. There was one called The Wrestler or something like that, right? And then she got into it. And so the shows, the movies are great. Yes. I won't say great. The plots are great. Movie quality is terrible. But yes, the plots are convoluted, and sometimes they don't even finish them.
Value.
They don't even finish them.
Right.
You're like, what happened to so and so? They don't care. Right. They you know, we ended the story and that's it, and be happy, you know. And the ones on Netflix are not. They do end properly, and my wife will not watch those. She wants to. So her and Akin Bobala's mother, when she first came to the United States, and he brought her to our house. His mother named Cindy Thorpe, Mama Cindy. Mama Cindy and the Balogun became fast friends from their enjoyment of Nollywood. And me and Akin Bobala are like, man, Nollywood, this. His mother said, yeah, they're rubbish, right? They're from England. I said, yeah, rubbish. She said, but it's our rubbish. Ooh. So I love him. And my wife's like, yes. I'm like, man, get out of here. Get that job. Wow. She said, yeah, Danny says the same thing, but I will never stop watching them. And she's like, me either. And they have both remained true to that. So Nollywood, when you say that, I know my wife's going to end up watching this. She knows one day we may get on here to talk about some warrior Nollywood movies, because I guarantee you, she know them. And if she don't know them, nobody does.
Shout out to Balogun.
Shout out to Balogun on the Nollywood. Hey, you know, some of them I watch, but do you really have to make a movie 3 hours long twice? It'd be part 1 and part 2, one movie, and not a sequel. It's the same movie, and each one 3 hours long. That's 6 hours, and she'll watch the whole thing. And I wake up 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. Did you still watch the movie? Oh yeah, it's almost done. Okay. Wake up 7 o'clock. She just going to bed. I was like, man.
I'm gonna just say I haven't watched enough to appreciate it and keep on moving.
I would like to say I haven't watched enough to appreciate it. I would like to say that, but you know, no choice.
Number 3.
I'll take that one. My number 3 is Seven Samurai.
Oh yeah,
which is like kind of an art film, honestly.
You talking about 1957?
Yeah, well, it's 54.
Mm-hmm. Wow,
yeah, which is before my mother was born.
That's actually what influenced the Magnificent Seven.
Right, Magnificent Seven. It's the same director, Akira Kurosawa, who Bob was talking about with the name order. He also did a great movie called Rashomon, and my personal favorite is Ikiru, or Ikaru. I can't remember how to pronounce it, but it's just a great movie. The thing about those movies, and I think the time that they came out, and that particular director, first of all, they're Japanese, they're not Chinese movies, and it was giving you a glimpse into a culture that you did not see anything about in you know, popular media. I mean, think about in the 50s. They also did the way that they did their camera work, the way they did some of their camera movements were not things that were happening in movies in the United States at that time. So it's fascinating to watch. I definitely highly recommend it.
A lot of directors have stolen techniques from the Japanese, right? American and European directors. Now, if you want to look up other Japanese films, if you look up Chanbara, Chanbara, or some people say Chambara, Chambara, Chanbara films, you'll get those are all the Japanese sword films, okay, swordsman films and stuff. Another good Japanese one is now that was going to be in my top 5, and then I said, let me really look and examine my top 5, and so it would be definitely an honorable mention. Seven Samurai.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Seven Samurai. But he's got it. Yes, Seven Samurai would be there. And then when we're talking about Japanese, it also Zatoichi, the swordsman. Oh, you guys are okay. Okay. I'll leave that alone. I didn't even know that was there, but yes. So my number 3 is Blade. Okay. I'm sure most of you all know about Blade, but so Blade, after being saved in utero, when vampires murdered his mother, Blade has all the supernatural, and that's played by Wesley Snipes. Blade has all the supernatural abilities of vampires without the vulnerability to the sun, garlic, or silver. Now, silver they made specifically for this movie because silver is really for lycanthropes like werewolves, but they made it in this movie so some of his weapons look cool. You know, they can explain why it's killing them because they have a vulnerability to silver in this film. He and his mentor Whistler, which is played by Chris Christopherson, they're engaged in a secret war against vampires. Whistler designs the weapons that exploit the undead's weaknesses, and Blade wields the weapons with ease. You know, he's asked, you know, why are you all together? He says he makes the weapons, I use them. Blade, you know. So during the battle at a rave club, it opens with this. And I always wanted to write a scene that happens in the club, a fight scene in the club, and they did it, right? It's a rave club owned by the vampire Deacon Frost, which is played by Stephen Dorff. Frost's henchman Quinn, you've seen him in a bunch of movies. He's I think Irish, whatever, Donald Lowe, is burned to a crisp, sent to a nearby hospital, right? Then he bites the hematologist Karen Jensen, which is played by the superfine Boucher Wright. Okay. Blade rescues her and then warns her that she's now marked. And you know, that's how things go on with that. I won't go too much into it, but this has some brilliant fight scenes. They're spectacularly shot because it's the modern, once again, it created bullet time. Wesley Snipes is great as Blade. And I think Mahershala Ali is going to do as well in the reboot because they're doing the reboot. And some people, no. You know, fanboys don't want to hear that. But the truth is, Mahershala Ali, like Wesley Snipes, is a lifelong martial artist. Right. They don't, you know, and he decided he's gonna come to the game older than Snipes did. So when Wesley Snipes filmed Blade 3, he was 45. Said it was too much on his body. Mahershala Ali is already, I think, 42, 43. And he decided he's going to do this. Yeah. You know what I mean? He may not know what he's all in for with all these scenes, but...
You know, now they can digitize.
Yeah, he can do a little bit less now.
So.
That's true. But you know, they did that. That's another thing with Blade 3. That was one of the first full CGI fight scenes. When the vampires first come, have y'all seen Blade 3?
Oh yeah.
When the vampires first come in to recruit him, and they swing it in, and he's fighting, that's CGI. And then they mixed in his real fight scene because you know he had said he's wearing his body out, he's getting too old, so they CGI'd it to great effect. Most people didn't even know, but that's a great fight scene too. And he's fighting with, you know, he's fighting with just his sword in the sheath. I mean, in the scabbard, and he it's in reverse. And he's fighting. Oh man, the movements of that as a martial artist, I know. I'm like, okay, he's doing such and such. I'm able to name what he's doing. It was beautiful, and that's what happened when you have somebody like Wesley Snipes, who's a real martial artist, playing that role. He's bringing that reality to it, and from the first to the third, when he really brought it in. But Blade is my second. And I would put Blade 1 and my third. I would put Blade 1 and 2 in that same one together.
Right. I got you. Okay. It's my number 3. I gotta give it to. I'm gonna go ahead and go back to Jackie Chan and give him this.
And excuse me, real quick. I'm sorry. So that was Blade. That was Blade 2 when they came together, not 3. When they came, Blade 3 sucked. Yeah. All right. So.
Tried to take the movie.
I did too.
They tried to take the movie.
They tried to take them. He only had 10 lines in Blade 3, so that sucked.
He wasn't even on the.
That was 2. That was 2. Yeah.
3.
That's he's fighting the creature, the Reapers.
3 didn't even have a poster. He didn't even have a poster when they was advertising for him. So anyway, yeah, they was trying to take that. So the Legend of the Drunken Master, Jackie Chan,
which is Drunken Master 2.
Right, it's actually Drunken Master 2 is what the original title is. The Legend of the Drunken Master, which I like this one better than the first one, personally.
Oh yeah. Sure.
A young martial artist is caught between respecting his pacifist father's wishes and stopping a group of disrespectful foreigners from stealing precious artifacts. So basically, his father told him not to drink. You know what I'm saying? And that's when his martial arts is at the best, when he to have a little drink with it. for me, this was a little bit of the story because it was a good story because I like the fact that, you know what I'm saying, you got the foreigners always trying to do something, trying to steal. So we can relate to that. You know what I'm saying? We know who they was. And then you got him, his skill set, man, his for the fight scenes, his choreographing, the stunts. For this,
he choreographed.
Still to this day for me. Still some of the best choreographed scenes I've ever seen. When he's under the train with the knife and the dude got he got that spear and he's under that train trying to poke him with that spear and he got the little pocket knife moving and rolling. That's just like when fight scenes have me like holding my breath. I'm like, you know what I'm saying? This is too crazy. It's too crazy.
And you know that man with the spear. I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Snake and the Eagle Shadow. That's his teacher in that movie.
So that's Jackie Chan.
That's Jackie Chan's teacher in that movie.
See, I wasn't.
So he was old as hell.
I'm just gonna say Jackie Chan got some well choreographed movies. I was gonna say Snake and Crane. I really like that.
That's Snake and the Eagle Shadow. They started calling Snake.
Yeah, Snake and Crane. That's why I was just saying that. You could call it. You could find it through either one. If you look at either one, to me, Snake and Crane is just incredible. That was back in my kung fu days. So I didn't even. If you understand, so not saying that this stuff is good or bad, but if you understand Snake and the Crane, you can't even see my hand, but I was doing it good. But if you understand both of the techniques, he doing them together, that was skillful, and you know, technique wise, to show that shit was just good. So that was for me right there.
Number three.
Now,
one thing about Drunken Master, which is funny, right after that, he filmed Rumble in the Bronx, and that's when I was doing executive protection for Jackie Chan. And the person he fights this great kicker in there. That's Ken Lo. That's actually his personal protection operative, his personal bodyguard.
If you haven't seen that, just go for this kicking to see how nice he is.
And one thing that Jackie Chan told me about choreography, because I told him I wanted to shoot martial art films. He said, I learned, and he didn't know that I was practicing the African. At that time, I wasn't practicing the African traditions. Mm. He told me, so it wasn't like he was just blowing smoke up my ass. He said, and I know it from watching his stuff again now, he choreographs based on the African drum. Mm. His rhythms are based on the African drum. And how they fight, even how they transition. When you hear that, he has a certain transition rhythm that he uses in all his films to the transition from this movement to this movement, from this person to this person. Mm-hmm. He learned it from the African drum. It's really genius with that, how they took that rhythm.
We can't speak more martial arts movies and not really give him his flowers for being one of the best choreographers you can ever see, especially when it comes to using improvised. And
the first person that he instead of being more serious with the fight scenes like everybody else was, so he liked to put comedy in the fight scene.
I think, and it doesn't have to be stupid. So I think about is when he jumped off the top floor, he thought he was gonna land on the table. He landed he went through the table and then used the table. Like it's incredible. So yeah, that's number 3 for me. Number 3.
You did number 3 first, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, mm-hmm. So number 4. For me, number 4 was The Last Dragon.
Okay.
Y'all know what it's about. Y'all know about Leroy Green. Mm-hmm. That's Ty Mack, but everybody call him Bruce Leroy. Karate Master. Now there was some racist stuff in there too. You know that would not fly today. That I'll get to, but beyond the Bruce Leroy thing, but Leroy ventures out into the world after his master tells him, he looks on the wall, tells him he's reached the last dragon stage, right? And he was like, I won't go into it in case you haven't seen it, which would really be odd. I won't go into all of it, but Leroy wouldn't fight show enough, so that sense showing up on wanting to, really beat him up, beat his students up and all that. You got the character Eddie Arcadian, who forces having his his girlfriend's video put out, and that's a jab at Cyndi Lauper. There's a lot of things in there, you know. Bruce Leroy and his master, that's a parody of the Karate Kid, with the master there, you know. That's a parody of that. Showing up in his gang, look like the high heel, boot wearing, over the top rap and funk artists of the 70s and 80s. That's all on purpose.
Yeah, because he looked like Cameo with longer hair.
But some of the stuff, like, okay, Bruce Leroy, he's wearing the straw hat from the Chinese.
Yeah,
that could really be looked at as racist, because, you know, but then they did it the other way, the Chinese wearing koofies, and like, whew, okay. But even Ty Mac was speaking like a Chinese person, and English was their second language. You must do that, you know, that kind of thing. So it was some racist, but it got worse. Oh, and then at the movie house, remember, he's eating his popcorn with chopsticks. And then we all hee laughing, but you know, that was some really racial stuff. But then the worst gets there. Now this one I didn't hee on, but everybody else was hee-heeing on. So I didn't say nothing when I was younger and watching this. The trio of Chinese dudes, and I give you their names, so I hope they end up here. Henry Yuk, Michael Chen, and Frederick Mao. Those are the three. They dance to the song. Now the song is racial even to it. Sukiyaki hot Suki Su. You sock it to me, I'll sock it to you. That's really racial too. And Sukiyaki and all that, that's Japanese, not Chinese. That's number one. Then the dudes, but the dudes playing it on a boom box, right? They talk, man, brother, man. They talk in this terrible black speech that my folks didn't even speak in, right? I mean, I knew some folks talk terrible. They did, brother, man. They didn't talk like that. Nobody I knew talked like that. Right. They worked in a noodle factory called Some Dum Goy. Now, some Goy is a pun. Jews call people who are not Jewish Goy. Mm-hmm. You're a non-Jew, Goy, right? So Some Dum Goy is the name of the noodle factory. Okay, so you know, I had to point that out. The action was great, you know, well choreographed, and it's a cheesy good time, but it did have its racial things. It was a cheesy good time. It was a cheesy good time. You had to be a kid. And sorry for doing that to y'all, but I had to bring that out.
Well, it's stuff you don't notice because when they hit us with it, we weren't paying attention.
To let you know the power of cinema, it'll have you laughing at stuff. You know, there's a movie, Air One. And not me, but people were rooting in the theater for the serial killer because he had a tea party with a little girl. You wonder if he's going to kill the little girl. He doesn't. He walks off, and people, whoa, and they're rooting for him. After that, a serial killer who wore a man's head as a hat through 30 states.
There's a scene like that in Con Air.
That's what I said. Air One. I'm sorry, Con Air. That's what I meant. Yeah, Con Air. Right. Yeah, the movie buff. So yeah, Con Air. That's it. Yeah. So number 3. Or was it 4?
That was 4. That was your 4.
Yeah.
So my number 4 is going to have to be On Bak. Definitely going to be On Bak. Reason being,
that's a Thai movie.
Exactly.
Thailand.
So for On Bak, for me, the thing about, and I'll just give you
I think that was the first one from Thailand.
That's the first one.
Hit.
So just a quick overhead. So when the head of a statue from a sacred statue from this village is stolen, this young martial artist, goes to the big city to find himself taking on the underworld of retrieving. Now you know that story. You know, the warrior from the little village goes to the big city, and you know everything's big and different for him. But
that started with Bruce Lee.
Exactly, that started with Bruce Lee. Well, to me, so for me, what was great about this is this was the introduction to what you call Thai fist, or what the
Muay Thai,
Muay Baran. But more, they kind of they call it Thai fist a little bit. I don't know if Tony Jaa spit that off to call it Thai fist, because I think that's an actual. That's what
they call it. Muay Thai means Thai fist.
Okay, yeah. So this is the first time we ever seen Thai fist like this, you know, before then, I think I don't know what was the thing, but this is the first introduction of that roundhouse knee is what you remember from this. I've never I wanted to do that roundhouse
knee, and then and his
oh my goodness, the stallion,
because that was never it's nothing like a kung fu pose.
It was totally
and that's
different.
What got people. Yeah,
his stunts, him as a athlete, as a martial artist himself, like since Jackie Chan, I have never seen anybody that was as good as Jackie Chan as doing their own stunts, flipping and being precise and really, really good with that. And he was the first one I seen. So that style was it was brutal. One of the movies that nobody may not mention that we all think is a good movie, I'm sure, is Unleashed with Jet Li. If you look at Unleashed, how the thing that looks so good about that is how real brutal he makes the fight scene where he might just be hitting the person one.
You know where they got the story Unleashed, which was originally called Danny the Dog from?
I know where it is, but I know the audience may not know where it came from.
They got that from the story of the Tokolosh. The Tokolosh are South. People say monsters, but people who really know it's not. There are people that raise farms, if you will, of Tokolosh, which they use as assassins,
right,
for different people that can afford to pay for these assassins. So the Tokolosh are young children who are taken from their mothers, and they really have the mothers raising, birthing the babies, and they take the mothers are captives themselves. They've been taken through trafficking to give birth to these babies. They take the babies, they give the babies a diet of breast milk and blood. This is real. And then they train the babies to kill, the expert assassins. Then they dress them in clothes and make them look like monsters and stuff to scare people. But they're really experts with working in shadows and things of that nature. So that story is about, it's a real story in Africa that takes place in this Tokolosh who falls in love with this girl, and then he decides not to kill the family that he was supposed to because he's fallen in love with her, and the family takes him in, and he protects the family from other Tokolosh that are being sent to kill. That's a real story that they took, and then they made Danny the Dog / Unleashed out of.
Because we know that's why nobody put it in the top 5, but that is the brutality that choreographed. That's what on Bach, Tony Jaa, that's what it reminded me of. That was like I say, first time we've seen that style, that type of brutality,
hard-hitting, brutal.
Yeah, and using those knees the way that they use the knees. We never seen that before then. So I got to give it up to him for that. So that's my number 4. Man, we had a minute, an hour and 20 already.
Really?
Yeah.
My number 4 is Enter the Dragon.
I was holding out. I'm trying not to say it, so don't feel bad.
Bruce Lee only made it.
But I'm gonna tell you where it's written at up here, but
and for good reason. My mother showed me Bruce Lee. That's who gave me Bruce growing up. So I've seen quite a lot of his movies. Fist of Fury is another mentionable for me.
You can see what we want to say about him as a martial artist, but as on the movie screen,
right?
He's a bad mofo. He's a bad mofo.
Galvanizing. Like you definitely couldn't look away. And I mean, the lore, that kind of followed him. I think we talked about this maybe a few shows ago, just how people are unwilling to believe, unsavory things about him now, even just because of what he put up on that screen and how amazing it was. So Enter the Dragon is definitely a movie I watched when I was younger. I've definitely seen it in the past few years. Not like in the past 5 or 6 years, but definitely in the past 10 years. So, and I was still quite amazed by what I saw up on that screen, that yellow suit.
It's one of the ones.
No, not the yellow suit. Yellow suit, that's Game of Death. Game of Death.
Yeah. My homeboy Glenn actually had one that he used to wear to wrestling practice.
He
Who would run the wrestling
he
practice.
wore the black one in Enter the Dragon.
Right. Shout out to
and he also wore like the black kung fu band and a white top that was dope.
That was nice. I have to say, man, that wasn't for me. It was all about the attitude. I had Enter Dragon up here in first, but not in the number one slot. Well, it's just the first movie you think of. These, it's the cliche martial arts movie.
I will say, as an actor, he sold martial arts more than anybody else ever has, and he was cold as an actor. I mean, he even sold the coolness of. He's the only you didn't before him. You didn't see no cool Chinese and no
the way he looked at people.
We keep that real, but he got a lot of them brothers. His idol was Muhammad Ali.
Right.
So he got a lot of that swag and stuff from brothers. His first student was black, Jesse Glover. So he got things from the black experience that he was able to make himself look cooler on camera, and that I think that's why I was so attractive to us too.
Right.
So much attitude. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, when he bust through that door, when he come through that door, smacking people around, boy, it looked good. It looked good. All right, so where we at? This is
number 5 now.
Number 5.
This is the last one.
Number 5. What am I gonna call my number 5? You go ahead. I'm scared.
My number 5 is Black Belt Jones.
All right now.
Okay. Now, Black Belt Jones, that's one of my favorite films from the 70s blaxploitation genre, and one of my favorite martial art films of all time, because it mixes blaxploitation and martial arts. Okay, better than any other film ever. Not too many films that you would have some like Rudy Ray Moore stuff, but nobody. So anyway, while other films utilize this combination, like Rudy Ray Moore with Dolomite, Black Belt Jones had a real martial arts authenticity to it, because they had a real legitimate world karate champion as the star, and he starred alongside Bruce Lee in Enter the Dragon, which gave him kung fu movie cred too. The film stars Jim Kelly, and it features Gloria Hendry as Sydney. It's one of the dopest female characters in the history of cinema. Sydney. Watch Black Belt Jones and tell me if you can argue with that. Sydney was a martial arts expert who could hold her own alongside Jim Kelly's Black Belt Jones. Okay, she could hold her own with him. She and kicking in heels. Jim Kelly wasn't doing that. She also brought a certain level of street cred to the picture, and she starred alongside Fred Williamson in Black Caesar and its sequel, Hell Up in Harlem, which was just a year earlier. She was also a Bond girl in 73's Live and Let Die. And I actually met Gloria at a science fiction and fantasy convention a few years ago. And she's still beautiful.
Wow.
She's good people. And even though she was in her late 60s then, she's 72 now. She could still kick over a man my height's head. She said, I'm gonna kick over your head. I said, all right, don't kick me now. She said, I'm not gonna kick, whoop, right over my head. That's in her 60s, right? The movie also has Scatman Crothers, who voiced Hong Kong Phooey. Hong Kong Phooey, number one super guy, Hong Kong Phooey, President of the Human Eye. If you don't know that, look up Hong Kong Phooey. That's a kung fu cartoon.
Yes.
Okay. And Scatman Crothers also starred in dozens of films. If you've ever seen, it's this cartoon called, God dog it. What is it called? It's by Ralph Bakshi. But he sings a song. I'm a trembling man, Jimmy man, I'm a nigga man. Watch me dance. Watch me get down, watch me get down, watch me get down, watch me get down. Man, that song is so haunting. That's Scatman Crothers, right?
But I don't know.
Coonskin, that's the name of the cartoon. Watch that too, if just for the song that's in the beginning with Scatman Crothers. Okay. He plays a small role that has a major impact on the story. He's this martial arts school owner who refused to sell it off to the man and gives it to his daughter to school, Sydney.
Right.
He's murdered, so Sydney decides she's gonna find out who did the killing and gets Black Belt Jones to help her. That's as much as I'm gonna say about the plot, because I don't want y'all. I had written out the whole plot here, and I said I don't want y'all to, because I was giving certain praise to certain parts.
Right.
Even though it's in my number 5, it's one of my top films of all time. And the only reason I didn't put it as number 1 is just because God doggone Kung Fu Hustle, I just could not.
You can't do it.
And so then that made me look at other films like, okay, technically and stuff and how it affected my youth and stuff. I'll add those other ones first. But now Black Belt Jones is the only one here that I saw in my youth and as an adult. Okay. It's not a tour de force filmmaking now.
Mm-hmm.
There's in the early scenes, Black Belt Jones has on his stacked yellow shoes, and he jumps up on this car, and he got on yellow gym shoes, so he wouldn't fall and hurt himself and stuff. So he's fighting in the yellow gym. Then he jumped back to the ground. He got on the yellow stacks again. So it's not now. Hey, there's some mistakes made with that bad boy, right? I'm like, I don't know who their continuity person is. They probably didn't have one, or he was high somewhere. But it is a hell of a good time. It marries blaxploitation and kung fu perfectly, and it's funny too. This part, he turns out the lights. He hits people. He goes, who's hit me? He said, Batman, motherfucker. It was just so funny. As a little boy watching that, I'm crying, laughing, right? And as a man, I was crying when I watched the scene. The guy said, this scene probably gonna be funny again because I'm grown now. It was funny. All right. It wasn't intended to be serious. And it doesn't pretend to be. It's silly, but it's exciting. It's a dope film for sure. That's my number 5.
All right, this is going to be very hard for me. I still got like 4 movies left. I don't know where to go from childhood or for the all factor.
What about American Ninja?
Yo, I gotta mention this before we leave, yo. American Ninja was the shit as a kid. Looking at it now, I looked at it recently and I couldn't look at it. It was so much bullshit involved.
It's American,
and it's propaganda.
It's propaganda.
So a lot of my list reflects of how the propaganda machine works.
That's what I'm saying. It's propaganda. I ain't seen American Ninja.
No, it's propaganda.
It's called American Ninja.
It's propaganda. He was a soldier. Right. He was a soldier. He was an American soldier that went over there and learned. You know, he knew he was already a ninja. I don't know how he learned it, and he was a soldier. Went over there. American soldier shit went wrong. He had to use his ninja skills. You know what I'm saying? To get American. I'm not even reading the.
But didn't American Ninja have his brother Steve James in it?
Yep.
Who used the butterfly swords?
Yep. So you have seen?
No, I haven't seen it. I know about Steve James.
So yeah.
And that's what made me even remember that movie, the title, because Steve James was in it.
He had to have.
And I knew Steve James, and rest in power, Steve James.
He had to have Steve James with him to even get us to pay attention to it. But that's not. So I just want to honorable mention.
And Steve James was a soldier too.
He was a soldier
and using butterfly swords.
I don't even want to talk about it. It's like he was like a regular black person, just picked up these things and just happened to be nice as shit with him. Excuse me. So American Ninja is gonna get my runner up. That started the whole Ninja Revolution thing to me as a kid, which brings me to my second honorable mention, which is Ninja 3: The Domination. I swear, as a kid, y'all remember this? All this stuff right here we're doing and
Code, Retsu, and all that.
He had me fucked up. I had never seen. We got magic and a little bit of like spirituality and martial arts and ninja shit all in one.
He's so messed up. He ain't even got to number 5 yet.
I still ain't get number 5. This is the honorable. And we ran out of time. I'm sorry, y'all. So look, my number 5 is going to be Ip Man. My number 5 is going to be Ip Man. The reason I sound like this, because I'm not going to say why I sound like this.
Because it's Wing Chun.
It's Wing Chun. I ain't want to say, I give.
And Wing Chun catch a little hell in our class.
We give Wing Chun a hard time. So some of the, Ominiki has some Wing Chun experience.
Oh, snap.
I have some Wing Chun
experience.
Coming from Jeet Kune Do, I have a little Wing Chun experience. But Ip Man, the story.
One of my best friends is a Patsan from China, from Patsan Wing Chun master.
Let me just say that for this man, it was the story Ip Man. It was the story and the art together. They made it look fantastic.
And Donnie doesn't even do Wing Chun.
He doesn't even do Wing Chun. He beat
11
Negroes with it. They wasn't even Negroes, but he beat 11 whatever it was, Chinaman. No, it was Japan.
Don't say Chinaman. No, don't do that. You're bad as the Last Dragon. Right, Orientals. That's bad too.
No, bro, no. It was Japanese. It was Japanese. It was the racial issue. Japan had taken over China, and we suckers for oppression. So Ip Man wasn't having it. They brought him in. It's some just really great scenes. The scene where he beating dude down in the chest with the
hit him and he goes all the way down.
That scene where he beat everybody for some rice, and you know what I mean. It was just an iconic scene at the end when he fought the head guy. I ain't gonna say who all that was.
That was raw too.
It was just, to me, it was just done very well. It was put together very well. And
you know who the choreographer was?
I do not.
Sammo Hung, the one who fought Bruce Lee at the beginning of Enter the Dragon with the gloves on.
Beautifully done. So, it's that same. They took the same story. They did Bruce Lee's story, the oppression story, and it was the first time we seen Wing Chun introduced us like that, and they made it look very, very, very powerful. You ain't beating 20 people like that, but Wing Chun
ain't beating 20 people like no way.
Yeah, but with Wing Chun on Ip Man, you can. So that's my fifth, man. And that's what I say. Hey, if you let us see your top 5 too, man. We want to know what you got and what we didn't mention as our top 5 that you may have.
Still have one more top 5.
Somehow I am the last one. I, as my last one, am gonna choose Zatoichi, which was a blind swordsman movie. Now, the Zatoichi that I am most familiar with is the one that came out in 2003. Really? I know that
the blind swordsman that came out in 2003. It's called The Blind Swordsman, ain't it?
Yeah,
it's about Zatoichi.
It's bad. It really? Ain't no joke. Yeah, that's one of the top honorable mentions.
Well, the first Zatoichi, I think, is from the 50s or something.
Right. They're very old, and they're also Japanese. But
Zatachi and Zatoichi is not the same one.
It's Zatoichi,
but it's another one called Zatachi. I think Zatachi's Revenge. Is that Zatoichi?
Yeah, Zatoichi. And actually, when you pronounce it, it's Zatoichi because they don't say the E at the end.
Yeah.
Same way when you say you. So when they say like the name, like say Otsuka, it looks like Atsuka, but it's Atsuka. They don't say the U. Yeah.
I remember finding the story very compelling. If anyone watches it, and of course the swordsmanship is amazing. And one movie that I found that I thought that it influenced when I watched it was The Book of Eli, the Denzel Washington.
It certainly did.
Even though he's not a swordsman in the movie. But he is blind, which you come to find out. But and I'm sorry for spoiling. I
hope they've seen Book of Eli.
Book of Eli came out a really long time ago.
You'll see Zatoichi holding his sword like this. This is the blind. That's because this is the blind sword's way. Instead of holding it, normally the samurai hold a sword like this. We don't in African traditions hold with 2 hands like this, but they hold their sword like this. I'm trying to see if you can see they hold it with 2 hands. Zatoichi, will hold it with 1 hand. He pull it out. I think he had it on the same side as opposed to cross drawing. He would pull it because this allows you to feel more. It's shorter, it's closer, so you can feel the person as you're cutting him and feel the next place you go to if there's somebody else. That's so blind swordsmen and women, they carry their sword in that reverse grip. Just so you know, that's just
action.
It'd be best if you just don't talk and just let me handle this. And we will go. Okay. This is Chief Supreme Grandmaster Dontrell, Ice Cold Carter, Master of the Dojo, big screen actor, and man around town. You know what I'm saying? And this is Akron, master of the African martial arts. I'm here to represent the African Martial Arts Institute. Okay. Whatever that is. I'm here to help these folk get some more students, because I already got so many. I got to stay open 20 hours a day just to get them all in. It's crazy. Luckily, Chief Supreme Grandmaster don't need no sleep. You feel me? The ladies know. You know, the students and the instructors here at the African Martial Arts Institute, I mean, they're good at self-defense. You know, not as good as Ice Cold Carter, though. But you know what I'm saying? Who is? You know, you feel me? You feel me? You know, I don't think he's ready for this. He was pretty ready. Okay, he was ready for that. But bring him out! So yeah. They feeding y'all, big boy, testosterone. That's something for you. That's something for you. Okay, now that didn't go too right, but that's all right. It happens in self-defense all the time. We call that as a technical error. Don't worry about that. I'll fix that later. Okay, all right. Cut. They okay, like I said. Check them out. Put Instagram, online, wherever they at. Just go check them out. You okay? You good boy. Good people. Good people. See, they've been watching my technique. They've been studying my tapes. I know what they've been doing. I put out some videos. That's how they got my technique like that. But that's okay. You know, next time I want to demo with the older man. I know he's kind of slow now. I take him out real quick. I get him. But anyway, the nice location, though. I like it. Y'all check them out over here on the south side. Read them online, Instagram, Facebook, all that. They put the information on the I'll let y'all next time. Give me some more ice I had. Take care of this.